in the more exciting chapter, in comparison to chapter 6, Zeph's heinous standards are finally revealed in this chapter of him doing just horrible things, such as gaslighting people and burning them, telling Iron Buddy to commit horrible atrocities, people destroying lives and families. And a lot of this was like caused by Yogo. And Vincent began to realize that Zeph could have been so much worse. Despite the fact that he has done horrible things, he could have been much worse than who he is now, or who he was in 1959. He could have been a really terrible guy. And he was pretty terrible, actually. It's just that he could have been far much more. The fact that he wasn't, like, just full out horrible, like full out just non-stop horrible, and managed to actually just say, or be like, okay, I gotta cool down, in comparison to a lot of other people who've been affected by Yogo in a sinister way. It does speak to some depth as to how Zeph handles this in comparison to them, and Vincent actually understands that, like understands why he behaves the way he is, and as that happens, Kylo Drastic her mind just gets messed with by Pac Pal into just simply leaving, and Carl gets pissed off about it. And this is because Kylo Drastic's mind is more unstable because of what Carl Drastic did to her. Pac Pal was able to do this because of that. And so Carl has a hissy fit and whatever and leaves. And Pac Pal frees Linson and David. And here's a strange part, okay? Here's what Linson tells Pac Pal what to do. She points at David, and people are wondering, what is this supposed to mean? David was actually part of helping out and figuring how to beat the bird baby, and they go off to help out Sam. As they do this, they know more on how to beat him. Beat the bird baby, and send the bird baby to some kind of dimensional vortex or whatever before it self-destructs. And as that happens, Zeph promises to be on the much better behavior, and Vincent hugs him. After this, we see Jericho praying to something that we don't know. He goes on about God Ascension, the failure of Kylo Drastic, and how things are turning out. And he says someone's name in vain, but he was actually supposed to say Yeshua's name in vain. But I don't know how this happened, but some type of weird type thingy happened where it says Yetua, but he was supposed to say Yeshua. And he says the name in vain by saying damned. That's what happens. Overall, I might actually keep the name Yektua just because it's a different name, but I don't think I intended for that type of spelling of the name to be there. It was actually supposed to be Yeshua, not Yektua. So we go back to where we left off in chapter 3. And what we see is Capron fighting against the bright figure. And what happens here in this fight is that Capron and the bright figure, they just duke it out. They just duke it out with all their powers. So many abilities. So many. Or let me find some for you. There's just so many of them. Let me find it. I know it's here. Like, they're so insanely fast. They move in Googleplexian per yoctosecond. This is during 1980, 11:25 p.m. Okay? They have speed and attack potency of all this other stuff. They can do supernovas that is larger than VY Canis Majoris. They can, like, Capron can shrink a 500 and trillion mile steel block to more than 1,000 times and weaker than a cell in less than a yoctosecond. BWF, which is called Bright White Figure, can make him infinitely faster than Capron. There's so many abilities to cover here of what Capron and the Bright White Figure can do. There's different names for it called Fyokin, which breaks the laws of physics. In this example, if somebody threw a boulder at you, instead of going backwards, you go forwards, or something like that. Capron almost used this ability. There's just so much about what happens here. And, Capron can see warriors' lives, in less than a femtosecond. There's just all kinds of powers here about them going just so much stronger, and it clearly indicates just how much Capron was holding back against Zeph. Capron could have killed Zeph in just one hit easily, due to how he is way much stronger than Zeph. Way much stronger. And that's how this chapter goes. There's just all sorts of crazy fun here about what's going on. It's simple, but you now know what Zeph was actually doing with and how much stronger Capron is. And the sense of who BWF is and who's fighting him raises on about, who is this guy? We go to Zeph. You go back to Zeph, and he's being chased by Elargarius and Iron Joe Buddy. Zeph starts getting onto driving and all this other junk, while he does all these crazy stunts. He's being chased by an entire police force, SWAT team. And he's being chased by a bird baby, and then we cut to Lincent as to what's happening, and something weird is going on with her. She's unconscious and all. She's seeing all these strange things in the darkness about what's going on, and she doesn't understand what's really going on here. And she feels quite alone. Zeph seems to sense her and wants to go after her. And before we get to that, another thing is, when Zeph was being chased down, when he was being chased by a bird baby, he had to use different ways to kill it and all. He was also being chased by that. But as Zeph sensed Lincent, he went after her and saved her and vowed revenge on Elargarius. And that's the chapter. Though he really should be vowing revenge on Baxter. Really? Baxter's actually the one who created Drofred. That's not much of a twist there, but yeah, Baxter's actually the one to do it. The one who BWF is quite a twist. But Zeph actually vows to take down Elargarius because he got tired. He's gotten tired over Elargarius coming after him. And that's how it all goes down. He says things along the lines of, I'm going to be the one who's going to find you, or I'm the one who's going to find you. So that's chapter 7. There's one other cool thing. In this chapter, the geography is seen. And the little dot here, there's a little dot here that says the city Zephazin, and it's over 10,000 miles long. And the entire geography is called the Lovely Clouds Insintation Country Map, and they're different land masses. These are land masses. And I would very much like to show you this image because it's really freaking, you could say it's surreal in some way. But that's chapter 7 for you. Really fun chapter. And I don't know how I'm going to feel reading chapter 8 for you, because this one, like I said, each chapter does stand out on their own. But chapter 8 and how it stands out on its own is a whole nother story together. Oh boy. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this commentary, and goodness me, chapter 8.